This is HighIntensityBusiness.com with Lawrence Neal, helping you become a great personal trainer and grow your high-intensity training business.
Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to HighIntensityBusiness.com. Today's guest is Rahul Singh Bernath. Rahul is the Sales and Marketing Director at CAR.O.L. CAR.O.L, an AI cardiovascular optimization logic, is a networked bike with automated and laser-controlled resistance, patented advanced biosignal processing, and which not only watches your performance, but her algorithms respond by automatically pushing you harder in subsequent rides or relaxing your ride if you've had a bad day. And it all happens automatically. You just log in and ride. Based on the scientifically proven protocol, CAR.O.L gives you the ability to exercise for the shortest possible time with the greatest benefits. CAR.O.L is the very first system that delivers this scientifically proven protocol outside of laboratories. Rahul, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's great to talk. You know, the first question I have to ask you is, why did you call it CAR.O.L? Why did you guys call it CAR.O.L? Because I found that to be quite confusing.
CAR.O.L stands for the Cardiovascular Optimization Logic. And it's the name of the artificially intelligent software that actually controls the bike and does all of the hard work for the rider. I don't know if you ever saw the movie 2001 Space Odyssey, and they had the robot. The robot HAL, the red-eyed robot. And on that, and we took inspiration from this movie because the spaceship is flying to Jupiter, and actually the humans are in hibernation, and the robot controls all of the functions of the spaceship to get the humans to where they need to be safely. And that's exactly what CAR.O.L does on the bike. So we've taken inspiration from that to say CAR.O.L is going to do all the hard work for you, and she's going to get you as fit as you can be safely.
Right. So CAR.O.L is obviously an abbreviation for cardiovascular optimization logic. And you thought, how nicely does that fit into the name CAR.O.L? Is that kind of how you got to that particular name?
Yeah, exactly. We were toying around with names. We were thinking of some cool ideas. Some of them were less cool, but CAR.O.L seemed to be the clear winner for what we could at least come up with on the drawing board.
So are you one of the founders or co-founders of the business as well then, Rahul?
Yeah, technically speaking, I'm not one of the founders. However, the founders are actually my parents, and I have been very closely working with them this entire journey. So when it comes to major decision making, even before I joined the company, I was very heavily involved.
I did not know that. I should have done my homework a bit better to figure that out.
Well, when you see us, it'll be pretty obvious that we're related.
So what was the genesis for this business? Why did you decide to start it as a family?
Well, that's a great question. So my parents are both consultants, and my dad's he's an MD, and he was working at the time for McKinsey & Company in their healthcare practice. And they were working on a project to bring the rate of diabetes down in the population. And my mother was on that project as well. And they were just unable to find any intervention that would work for the local population to get the diabetes rates down. So they had to try get them to exercise. And everybody who they were asking why weren't they exercising would always say they didn't have enough time. And then, as by coincidence, Dr. Michael Mosley was talking about this new protocol called REHIT on the BBC in the UK, and this is years ago.
Right.
And one of the co-founders called up my parents and said, "Guys, you have to turn on the TV now. I think I found the answer." And then they turned around and think, "Oh my gosh," because Dr. Michael Mosley, he was saying that he was no longer needing to take his medication because he was doing this REHIT protocol, and it was on TV, and it was like just a dream come true solution. This REHIT protocol is sub 10 minutes of exercise, and so these guys thought, my parents thought, wow, fantastic! If we can build this product into something that everybody could do, then we would be able to answer this problem, and everyone would be able to exercise.
And that was that, and then you got cracking.
Well, yeah, and then they got cracking, but it took a long time of R&D. And so the REHIT protocol was invented by it was first propounded, let's say, by Dr. Niels Vollard, and then he and I guess his co-researchers have been researching REHIT ever since. And this is decades ago, and they were answering a public health issue. They were saying, look, they were looking at the numbers, right, and they're saying 80% of the population still isn't exercising. But we have gym memberships, we have these people wearing Fitbits, we have people, all this stuff to try and help them, yet they're still not doing it. And again, they also found that lack of time was the main reason. And so these guys were trying to develop an exercise that anybody could do, which was the shortest one. But they also wanted it to have as low barriers to entry as possible for anybody to get behind, right? So they wanted it to be done with ideally no machinery, or at least machinery that is very readily available, inexpensive, etc. And then after more and more R&D and after more and more testing, they just realized slowly and slowly that it was just not possible to really achieve the results consistently without using very, very specific machinery. And that's where my parents got involved with these scientists, because they'd been on this journey for years, and it took them a very long time. I mean, they've been running up and down, running tracks, jumping up and down, doing burpees, and those poor guys were just unable to achieve the same results. And then when my parents got involved, they said, look, you have this machinery that is very, very complicated. It can only really be operated by many trained professionals in a laboratory, so that's very inaccessible for anyone else to get behind. How can you make that into a product? Here's a bike that you need 6 people to operate, and you need to have constant data readings from trained technicians. I mean, imagine selling someone that package and saying, have that in your living room. So clearly the exercise was never able to leave the lab because there was just no practical way for it to do so. And then the technology at the time for these guys also wasn't as advanced as it is now. And so now with the advent of artificial intelligence, and then I guess just the lucky combination of my parents with one of the other co-founders, they had an advertising specialist, a healthcare specialist, and actually an engineer, all come together to say, let's solve this problem with these scientists. Let's actually make a product that these people can use. And then it took many years of R&D, even from that point, to actually come to where we are today. So it's actually 6 years and a lot of money developing a bike with many, many, many iterations. Yeah, exactly. But now here we are. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations on getting to this point. That's a pretty cool story. So tell me how it works. Let's get into the detail. How does the bike work exactly?
So, okay. The bike is powered by an artificial intelligence software that learns your physiology. And so when you sign up to the account, you enter some basic information, and then you have to do a brief introductory period. It's like think of it as like almost a stress test. Now, the Rehit protocol is a protocol that consists of 2 20-second sprints. Okay. And what is so unique about this protocol is that users will have an opportunity to get to their max speed just before the sprint kicks in, and they get to their max speed against 0 resistance. Okay. And so now this is how the bike works. Now, traditionally on the bikes that the guys in the lab were using, the guys would pedal as fast as they could, and then the resistance would be applied by the lab technician, okay, because the rider would be unable to apply the resistance himself. All he's doing is pedaling as fast as he can. Now, our bike replaces the need for that lab technician and adjusts the resistance for you. So it works by you sitting on the bike, you log in, you start pedaling, you pedal very slowly. Then the bike is going to shout at you effectively and say, start pedaling now. You pedal as fast as you can against no resistance, and then the bike will automatically apply the resistance for you at the right time. And guided by the AI technology that has just taken the time to learn you and your physiology, it knows exactly which resistance setting to put it on. And our brake on the bike has 1,000 settings on it. So it's micro-calibrated to you to make sure you get your optimum exertion for those 20 seconds. And then it'll let up. Then you pedal back, you pedal nice and slowly. Again, you recover. You do one more 20-second sprint like that, and you're done.
Oh. And it's my understanding is that it measures your fitness via your peak power output, right? And then it will, correct me if I'm wrong, and then it will basically provide an adaptive resistance, so to give you some sort of progressive overload over time, so that each time you use it, it's slightly harder than before.
Right, exactly. So the software and the whole program is completely adaptive to you. So what it's measuring is it's actually measuring your performance throughout the whole ride. It's actually measuring your peak heart rate, how quickly you were able to recover, and then it's cross-referencing that with how much power you were able to put down during the sprint. So effectively, what the octane score is measuring is how many strokes it took for your heart to send oxygenated blood to the muscles, to then eventually refuel the muscles, for your muscles then to be able to use the glycogen stores it had in them to fuel the sprint. And there are some other slightly more Well, there's some other smaller details baked into this calculation. But this then actually, the Octane score does track true to your VO2 max score. And the bike will then analyze this, and it will moderate you as you are progressing. So if you're getting fitter than expected, CAR.O.L will start making it harder, a bit faster. Or if you're getting, not improving as much as what expected, should make it a bit easier. And, this can change. So some days you could imagine you went on holiday for a couple of weeks, did no exercise, and then came back and you weren't actually at where you were a couple of weeks ago. CAR.O.L will recognize this and then make it a little bit easier for you to get you back on track. So it's fully adaptive.
That's
cool. The Tigers do get faster, but it's not like every single time they get faster, and that's the bottom line. It's like, okay, if the resistance being harder, or if you need to actually have an easier exercise, and that's what's best for you at this time, then CAR.O.L will deliver that.
Do you want to talk about some of the health benefits that you guys have shown in the science that supports the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, some of the key ones are, naturally cardiovascular health improves massively. The American Council on Exercise recently did a study where they tested one group of people doing the CAR.O.L Bike, and they only did it 3 times a week. That's less than 30 minutes of actual pedaling time a week. They tested that versus guys who did half an hour of running every day. And this study lasted 8 weeks long. And the guys who did the CAR.O.L, their VO2 max improved by 12%. Whereas the runners improved by just 6% in 8 weeks. So, I mean, the VO2 max improvement is huge. And naturally, once you increase your aerobic capacity, you have a myriad of other benefits that come with it. So, I mean, when in this test, they also were monitoring triglycerides. They were looking at lipid profile. They were looking at cholesterol. They were looking at actually body fat percentage. They were looking at waist circumference. All of these things were much, much better off by doing the CAR.O.L than they were doing the running. So yeah, don't get me wrong, the running had improvements, but I mean on waist circumference, for example, the guys who did the CAR.O.L, their waist, the difference in their waist circumference was 3 times greater than it was for the runners. Body fat percentage went down a few percentage points. I mean, and we're talking it's just half an hour of exercise every week. And really, if you only want to think about your time of exertion, because you're only pedaling for 2 20-second sprints on each ride, it's only 2 minutes a week of actual hard work, and you're getting these results. I mean, like I said, the blood pressure drops significantly. Cholesterol was greatly improved. Triglyceride profile greatly improved. I mean, just the results were amazing. And then these guys tested it. The ACE tested for inflammatory markers, and there was no inflammation on the guys who did the CAR.O.L. Yet the guys who were doing the running, the steady state medium intensity exercise, where they had an elevated heart rate for a long period of time, they actually did show inflammation.
Yeah, I can believe that, and that's very interesting stuff. I'm interested to talk to you about the business model for this, because I'm thinking about, my listeners who, as you know, are generally speaking high intensity training practitioners or business owners who may be interested in adding this product to their portfolio of services. So, I guess my first question is going to be somewhat along the lines of being relatively devil's advocate, because a lot of my listeners have an array of strength training equipment, including lower body strength training equipment like leg presses and things like that. We know, and there's a lot of data to show that the cardiovascular improvement you get from lower body resistance training, and that's the downside of the bike, because obviously the upper body doesn't really get a hard workout. A lot of those listening are going to feel like this is somewhat redundant in terms of the physiological benefit it's going to provide their clients. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about that. Have you had conversations with people like those in my audience before, and do you think that there's a value add in that context with something like the CAR.O.L Bike?
Well, I mean, absolutely. So we have a number of people who I guess would fit your prima facie, would fit your description and say, okay, my primary focus is going to be strength training. Is this actually CAR.O.L Bike going to be additive? And actually, what we have found is that a lot of people are coming to these studios for a number of different reasons. And even if that is, even if building muscle is there, or strength training, increasing bone density is their primary objective, they do need a lot of help where we've seen in other areas as well that will enable them to achieve that goal. And so having a healthy heart means absolutely you're going to be able to do better on the strength machines. And yes, extreme high intensity strength training could also constitute as cardio training. However, the CAR.O.L is just far more effective at actually increasing your aerobic capacity far quicker than anything else. And so your clients will be seeing really great results. And because the CAR.O.L rides are so short, it's not actually intrusive on the programs that you're going to offer. So, I mean, there's not necessarily directly talking about the business model itself, but I mean, really the CAR.O.L bike and actually how it's going to help studios do this. I mean, like I said, I've got performance studios in LA, in New York, I mean, in San Francisco. I mean, we're talking all in Florida, all across the country. And they do report that, some people, and because they get clients of all kinds of abilities, and they say, yeah, okay, you guys, especially at the lower end of the spectrum, need a lot of help strengthening their heart. They need to be losing weight as well. They do need to be increasing their strength. And this all wraps into a nice package where these guys will actually be able to incorporate CAR.O.L at times that are, that work for the client. And yes, they can still prioritize strength training, absolutely. But like I said, because the CAR.O.L is so short, it really doesn't infringe on any of the other activities. And we report back. I mean, the guys report back who have our bikes. They say this is insane. But a lot of them end up buying more, and they're like, this really is helping me achieve my goals, and my clients are much happier. They really do feel a lot stronger, and their performance on the weight training is improving drastically because they are using the CAR.O.L.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely candid, I'm very skeptical of the data that you're saying there would suggest that a CAR.O.L bike would improve aerobic capacity beyond what high intensity strength training would. I don't expect us to debate that now because there's more I want to cover. But if you could send me, and maybe after the fact, any studies you've got that actually show that would be really helpful, or at the very least show the aerobic capacity improvements from the CAR.O.L bike.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of research. There's research related to the CAR.O.L bike itself. And then there's also way, way more research being done about the re-hit protocol using the lab equipment. That costs like $20,000, but we'll leave that as a footnote for now. And absolutely, I'll send that to you. I mean, there's just the results consistently are showing that CAR.O.L is and the re-hit protocol is just far more effective than steady state exercise, high intensity training, other types of HIIT training or sprint interval training. That every single time CAR.O.L is just saying, or the re-hit protocols like this is just more effective. Yeah, so I'll definitely send that to you.
I'm completely in agreement that your protocol is more efficient and effective than pretty much all other forms of steady state aerobic activity, without a doubt. So no, I completely accept that. It's interesting because one of the things I want to mention, and I do want to dig into the business model, so I guess I'm prefacing it a little bit at the moment, is in our field, there are people that do strength training who don't seem to get gassed from strength training for whatever reason. Now, most people do. So if you do weight training and you do like a program that covers your entire physique, and you go to momentary muscular failure, you're going to be just as tired and and fatigued at the end of that, aerobically as well as in terms of your muscles, as you would be doing something like high intensity interval training. But there are exceptions to the rule, and there are some people who just don't get gassed. And whether, putting the science and physiology to the side, I think it might be, and it's not actually myself that thought about this first, it was a friend of mine who actually suggested this to me. He said it might be important that those people who don't get gassed, for want of a better word, from strength training would get would get that effect from doing something like the CAR.O.L bike, and feel like, which is the important distinction here, that they're getting more value because they're getting a great workout. I mean, if you think about it, right, in the context of an ARX and a CAR.O.L, right, you're doing an ARX, and I'm sure you're very familiar with that, and then a CAR.O.L, those clients are going to walk away feeling like, wow, I've those specifically those ones who don't get the cardiovascular kind of destruction that some do from strength training. That's where I feel like it could be really beneficial for some people.
No, I mean, absolutely. And we also do have CAR.O.L bikes sat next to ARXs. And as you said,
Yeah.
people do get completely wiped. I mean, one of the really cool things about CAR.O.L is that the software, like I said, it learns your ability. So it's always going to push you to your max. And the way that the sprint is structured, if you are able to get to your max speed just before the sprint against no resistance, it actually, when the resistance kicks in, brings you to your maximum intensity, you know, on the CAR.O.L bike specifically, in under a second. So, you can't really achieve those intensities doing other, I mean, for a regular person, you know, say someone who's not getting the gassed feeling after their strength training, you know, for them, it's not possible for them to achieve those intensities if they were to do other training or other HIIT training or any cardio exercise or, you know, muscle training. So with this in mind, when the CAR.O.L bike is able to deliver that intensity and that's been optimized for that person, and all they have to do is keep it off for 20 seconds. I mean, yeah, they couldn't do it for longer, but they are guaranteed to come off the bike feeling, wow, that worked me really hard. I can feel the glycogen being depleted from my muscles. You know, I feel the pump. I honestly feel like I've just done a 45-minute workout in such a short time. So yes, you have, of course, you know, speaking practically from a business owner's perspective, you have the wow factor, which is like, you know, dude, you just got a 45-minute workout in 40 seconds. Like, how crazy is that? But you're also going to have these guys feeling optimally exerted, so not overtraining that they have to go throw up. But I mean, by the way, and that has happened in the past. But these guys are going to be sat there on their now personalized account. They're going to be sat there not so exerted that they need to pass out or throw up, or not underexerted that they feel like they can start doing, you know, jumping jacks. It's going to be like, wow, okay. And then for 15 minutes, they're going to really feel like they've done a workout. And actually, this is another interesting thing that I've noticed, is that people then report after using the CAR.O.L bikes, they can say, now I know the feeling that I'm pushing for when I'm doing other activities. So, you know, we recommend that people who do CAR.O.L bikes also do muscle training, and they also should do functional exercise. And they say when they're doing that, they get a feeling, this is the kind of gassed, in inverted commas, feeling that I'm looking for. You know, I said exactly. So it's just perfect for getting people on the right track.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I quite liked is it sounds like you guys have done quite a good job in terms of getting those that don't exercise to exercise, and that high adherence is obviously really important and something that all of us in the fitness industry are trying to improve, because there's so few people that actually do exercise. You know, we can all sit here and say what's the most effective protocol, but if someone's sitting on the sofa doing absolutely nothing, then you know anything is better than nothing to a degree. And I'm just curious, you know, what have you found? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit in terms of what you've seen in terms of adherence to your particular product? And
great.
Yeah.
Great question. So, I mean, I completely agree with you. Any movement is better than no movement. And so the CAR.O.L bike was designed, and yes, we worked with the researchers to deliver the shortest protocol possible, because that was one of the barriers. But I mean, now imagine, you know, people say, oh, I don't have time, you know, again, in inverted commas, that's like, I don't have time, read the subtext. I'm just deprioritizing it for the other things I want to choose to fill my 24 hours in my day with. And so we did a lot of studies with these people, and then we broke down all of the main barriers. And so we've grouped them into sets, and then actually that led us to design CAR.O.L that said, right, okay, it's easy. So, you know, you don't have to change any of the knobs. You don't have to track your own fitness, or you don't have to do any calculations. You know, you're not walking into the gym today thinking, okay, last time I did this, that means today, this maths means I should be roughly around here. You know, CAR.O.L's doing all of that for you. And that it means that CAR.O.L's getting the optimum result out of you. So again, we don't over or under train you. We make you feel great. And you know, how you feel after exercise, again, is so important. Again, something we noticed that for people who don't feel gassed, they just feel tired and demotivated. You know, they think, I was in the gym for an hour. I'm really tired. I didn't really enjoy it because I wasn't pushing myself hard enough to get those endorphins. And I'm not really seeing results because I'm not pushing myself hard enough, right? And so these people are also, they're just not willing to invest the time and I don't blame them, to know exactly how hard to exert themselves, or they're not willing to invest the time even perhaps to hire a trainer for you know, $100 an hour or whatever it may be, to tell them the information, okay? And so we're removing all of that. And then when it comes to, compliance rates, we've found that, well, hey, if we're really giving people no excuse not to do it, I mean, the compliance rates are massive. So especially in business settings, we get people who sell just CAR.O.L packages, or we get people who add CAR.O.L as bolt-ons. And that being, again, another removing of a barrier that it's so quick. People can kind of slot it in wherever they want to. We're seeing that people are consistently using it for months on end. And another thing that the CAR.O.L does is it actually shows you your progress on the mobile app. You can see how fit you're getting with the Octane score, or how your power is improving. You can compete on leaderboards. And this is not just about being social. This is, it's not about showing your friends your performance, even though obviously you can do that. It's about you tracking your improvements. So even if some improvements aren't visual, I mean, say you have a slightly overweight person who's coming in, it'll take them a little bit of while to see the weight loss benefits. It may take a few weeks, and that is for a lot of people enough time to get demotivated. But if they can see on the app, yes, they're getting fitter, they're getting better. Okay, cool. Now I feel it. None of that. Then people are just much, much, much more engaged, and they're much more willing to then actually change other areas of their lifestyle to even get them better results on the CAR.O.L or the strength training or whatever they're using as a package. And so we found that all of that in conjunction, it's easy to use, it's sleek, it doesn't look ugly, it looks very easy accessible. It doesn't look like it's going to hurt. It's so short. I mean, you don't have to do your own metrics. It takes the mind out of the equation. And again, the user only has to pedal to get to max speed against no resistance, and then keep it up for 20 seconds. That's really that's all we're asking. There's no technique they need to get right. I mean, with a broad brushstroke, it's just so simple. And for that reason, people just find it especially the people who are initially resistant to keeping up with an exercise regime, they find it like the easiest way to do it.
I can see how it's such a no-brainer complement to an ARX in a way. It's very, very similar in its approach to simplicity and leveraging technology for that end. I think that's pretty cool. I'm obviously more of a strength training advocate, but I can still really, really appreciate that. And it's good to see. So one of the other things as well, I think is quite potentially powerful from a business perspective, is the fact that it's, artificial intelligence. It differentiates you from your competition, at least for now, whilst it's relatively new. And that can be quite a strong USP for businesses and a way to make you different, but also help you demonstrate higher value and obviously charge at a price that aligns with that. So do you want to talk about some of your partners, some of your customers who, some of the success maybe they've had, adding Absolutely. This to their portfolio? Yeah. I mean, completely. I mean, you're saying all of the right things, because AI is sexy. We're doing all this minimum effective dose of exercise. We're giving you the max benefits in the shortest amount of time. Other people aren't doing this, and so the people who've added CAR.O.L, so one of the first things they benefit from being one of our commercial clients is that we actually aid them with the marketing, and we offer marketing support, because we're all, especially in this space where we have the ARXs and we have the CAR.O.L bikes, and we're all educating people that there is a new way to work out, there's a new way to get these benefits, and yes, it's technology enabled, and just how awesome it is. And so when I win, you win, and vice versa. So we offer the support to say, look, this is CAR.O.L, this is the research done about it, this is the AI, this is the technology, this is a place that has it in your area, go check it out, go use it. We build stuff together. And so just from a very practical perspective, already that relationship really works. And then people consistently report back to us, oh yes, people are coming to me interested in what I had. they were coming to me because I put that ad up on Facebook, which you guys gave me, etc. And it really does help. And then I guess from a business owner's own marketing perspective, I mean, exactly right. I mean, there's not that many other gyms that say, I've got artificial intelligence baked into my systems that, are optimizing to you to give you the best result possible. It's like, this is the loudest space right now in fitness, and it's just the cutting edge, and the conversation is getting louder and louder and louder, and it's the most exciting place to be right now. And quantifying everything you do is becoming much, much more popular. I mean, you're going to see on Instagram things pop up about reflection journals, and you should think about how you did today, and then you can track your behaviors and you can improve. Or you can see things about your diet, count your calories, track it, and you improve. It's getting so popular with Tony Robbins and all of these people, Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield. They're all saying this: track and then progress, measure, stress,
rest, and then grow. And this is actually the only cardiovascular training system, or machine that's designed for cardio training, that is artificially intelligent and that actually is optimized in this way. And so when you can say as a gym owner, say, hey, look, guys, hey, if you don't like cardio, I've got something for you. If you love cardio, I've got something that's going to really excite you, because this is going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. And by the way, when you try it, it's going to feel like no other exercise you've ever tried. I mean, I had a professional cyclist who comes to me and says, I've done loads of cycle sprints. I kind of know what this thing's going to feel like. And then I started smiling, and then he did it. He said, damn, that's nothing like I thought. The editor of Men's Journal, he comes in and says, damn, that's nothing like what I thought it was like. And when you have all of that in conjunction, people are going to start spreading the word. So again, that's something I've noticed. There's actually a massive community building up around these gyms. And whenever I go into town or I go visit these people, invariably there's going to be a few people saying, the CAR.O.L bikes, they want to catch me for a few seconds to talk about their progress and show me their app and say, yeah, look at my octane score, it's been improving, it's so great. There's nothing else like this around. It's so great that I can finally do cardio, I feel better, etc. And it's all because of the AI, the cool new stuff that got them there in the first place. And that's really awesome.
Cool. No, that's great. And I just want to address something quickly for those listening. If you've got some serious cognitive dissonance right now, which I know that some of my listeners may have, because, again, without us getting too much into this, the physiology and the science, if you believe that actually you're ticking the criteria for cardiovascular fitness and strength training, which you may be, I think the important thing here is need versus want. So if you consider that a CAR.O.L bike is going to provide a strong, unique selling point, potentially a higher adherence and retention rate with clients, and make people feel pretty amazing in terms of, especially those that don't, as we've talked about, get gassed, for want of a better word, after a strength training session. I feel like this is a tool which potentially can really help add value to your business in terms of how it makes people feel and fulfills those wants. So that's where I feel personally it plays a role. And I just wanted to say that because I know that there may be some kind of cognitive dissonance happening in terms of some of my listeners. So it gives them some more kind of elements to think about if they are, for instance, deciding to add this potentially to their business. So I want to talk to you about the business model for a moment. When you for your clients who buy this device, how often, because obviously people are going to start thinking about, okay, well, how many sessions can I sell on this per client per week, for instance? What are you seeing in terms of user frequency and that kind of thing?
Okay, so we actually recommend doing it 3 times a week, although we found that the recent research as well, this is always coming under studies from our team as well as other guys we work with. We're finding that actually 2 sessions a week is enough to give you still cardiovascular improvements. And then the 3rd session, yes, it actually does help a little bit more, but the difference is not too great. So you could easily get away with someone just coming in and doing 2 sessions. And I know a lot of businesses in our space and a lot of your audience, they won't have people coming in like 5 times a week. And I guess part of the whole minimum effective dose thing, or, get max results in the shortest time possible, is that they don't have to keep coming in and they can squeeze it all into 1 session. Yeah. And so 2 times a week is then perfect, because they do the CAR.O.L bike, do a quick walk, do a CAR.O.L bike, then do a warm down or something else, or a warm up, and then go hit it on the weight machines, or do it the other way around. Do an ARX, for example, then do a quick cool down, and then do a CAR.O.L bike, and then just completely wipe themselves out with this machine, and then really feel gassed. So 2 times a week would be what I think is perfectly acceptable. If you could get 3 in, do so. I don't recommend actually doing more, because the people then are not going to see any cardiovascular incremental improvements. But the bike does have other protocols on it. So we have protocols that are designed for burning fat, for example. So, the 2 20-second sprints, that's all about cardiovascular health. But if you really want to start seeing some, visible results and see that waistline drop, you can do this Fat Burn 30 ride, for example, which is a 15-minute protocol and burns 9 times more fat than a 45-minute run. And yes, if you've got cognitive dissonance, I'll send you the research papers. But again, so you have something that if someone wants to come in and do that, they can do that on a different session. And then you can sell as many as you want. And actually, I have to admit that a lot of my clients do report back an excellent ROI on our machines, especially, considering how cost effective the CAR.O.L is compared to other equipment that they will need to fill out their space. So it seems that the value you get, I mean, like a healthy heart, or the value proposition you're able to offer with the CAR.O.L bike, even just incorporating it twice a week. And again, the users will be able to see that they're getting fitter. So they will believe for themselves, only 2 rides a week is still getting me fitter. And yeah, fine. If that also means that they're getting fit, their fitness scores being influenced by their strength training, that's fine, because that still means they're getting fitter, and that still means they believe in what the gym or the studio is offering, and they're going to keep coming back. And so, 2-3 rides a week will be more than enough to get you some serious results and get adherence, and people are going to be happy and smart.
Cool. Yeah, we'll go into the pricing to give people a view on that in a minute. But I'm just curious on your views on what people are charging. So what and how are some of your customers charging for this service? I mean, I know it's going to differ depending on area and things like that, but can you give us sort of a ballpark for those sorts of things?
Yeah, I mean, you say it's going to differ in area. This is so funny. So we were watching the news, and CAR.O.L was being featured on the news at one of our partners. And at the very end, they were like, and a test run is $75. And then we thought, it was like one of those, sitcom moments where everybody in front of the TV just spits out their drink, like in the astonishment, like, what? $75? I mean, how are these guys charging this much? And then we called them up, and they said, and the best part is, people are very happy to pay because they see the value. We said, wow, that's insane. So, okay, on the complete other end of the spectrum, we see people charging, $20 per session. Actually, we briefly were talking about a mutual client of ours, and they recently acquired a couple of CAR.O.L bikes, and they put it up on the website. And they actually have, they broke it down so that you can have, if you want to have your own account and your own CAR.O.L fully personalized AI guided regime, then you have to pay a little bit more for that service. But if you want to just use CAR.O.L bikes, so we offer for our commercial clients demo accounts as well. And if you just want to do the demo accounts, or i.e. you're not really interested in AI, which in my opinion is a shame that you wouldn't be, but then you can offer a much cheaper service, and then it's just flashing it out on the bike for a bit. And it's just an example of that. We found that loads of people are finding different ways to monetize, and different ways to kind of think of creative packages that they can sell people to get as many people in the door and get awareness up. Because invariably, once they're going to go on, do the demo rides, they're going to try it, and then I think, okay, I obviously want the AI, so I'm going to pay that little bit extra, but at least it got them through the door. And on that end of the spectrum, so $20 a ride, I've seen 35, I've seen 50 per ride, right? I've also seen a couple of $100 if you're going to do a monthly, open season, by you ride as many times as you want, you pay, $200-$300. I've seen it combined with ARX, then we're charging like $600, $700 a month if then you have all the training. So it's whatever really your business is able to offer, and whatever really you're able to offer as a package. Your local clientele, dear audience, much better than I do. So you'll know what you'll be able to get away with. But I mean, like I said, I've seen a broad spectrum of stuff, and compared to what you're paying for it, I mean, it's pretty much all in the kitty for you guys, which is great news. Everybody's a winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about your pricing structure is it's a relatively low amount up front, and then quite a small license. Do you want to just, talk about the pricing quickly so people understand the type of commitment they might have to make?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have what I call our home packages, and those are $2,995 for the bike itself, plus a $12 a month of subscription for up to 8 users. And if you're a small studio, then I recommend going with that option. I mean, if you're going to have very, very few people, you want to try it out, I think that's the best way forward, because then we have a commercial. Yeah, we have a commercial option. We have a commercial option. Is that what you're going to ask me?
I was just going to ask you, what do the higher user amounts cost? Yeah, sorry, I'll stop talking.
So we have the commercial packages, which are now $3,995, so just under $4,000 for the bike. And then it's a pay-as-you-go structure. So we charge you $3 per active user per month who's going to be riding. And we define an active user as someone who is registered under your license as a user of CAR.O.L. So not somebody who does a demo ride, not somebody who's just passing through town and you just want to quickly show them. It's one of your clients who's a user of your gym or your studio who signs up to CAR.O.L. And it doesn't matter how many times they ride. It's only if they've signed up and they've at least ridden once that month. Okay. So even if they ride in January, but not in February, then we will only charge for January, not February. So it really is just pay as you go. You just pay for the number of people that have ridden under your license just that once that month. Okay. And then with the 3995, the reason the bike itself is a bit more expensive for the commercial is because we offer a lot of off-bike features. So you have a dedicated account manager, you have advanced technical support, you have actually advanced marketing support. So we'll be able to, get the banners for you. We'll be able to do print posters for you. We'll be able to put you on the socials. The conversation really then becomes very collaborative actually between us. And then you also get enrollment into our reseller scheme. So everybody who is a commercial client of ours and people who do want to have sell CAR.Os, or the clients come in, they want to actually focus on strength training while they're in the gym. They want to have a CAR.O in their country house, or have a CAR.O in their office, or whatever they want to. They have the opportunity to buy it through you, and then we have a platform where you can sell them online. So
okay, like an affiliate really partner relationship.
Exactly. And so we have we make something that works for you. We make something that is going to work for your clients, and then we work, and that actually is a very successful revenue stream for us as a business, which means that it's actually very successsul for the guys doing it. So, and again, actually, I do find it is often the case that people will come in and say this experience is so fantastic, but I want to do more CAR.O bikes, CAR.O rides than I'm willing to come into the gym for example. So I'm now going to come in, I'm going to still do the CAR.O rides when I come in, or I'm going to focus more on the ARXs or the training or the nutrition. We can also focus more on recovery. And I'm actually just going to buy a CAR.O bike for my house. And then again, like I said, it seems to work really well for everybody involved. So you get all of those are off-bike features, and the hardware is the same. So if you buy a home bike, for example, want to test it out, and then you decide, or suddenly you grow and you get loads more users, you can upgrade to commercial at any time. And the commercial has unlimited users because it's a pay-as-you-go structure. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't matter how many bikes you have. It's about the license. So you could have 10 bikes. If there's still only one rider under your license, it doesn't, you're not going to be charged 10 times if he rides on all 10 different bikes. You know what I'm saying? So we try to make it as cost effective as possible, because we just want CAR.O bikes, as many out there. We want as many people getting fit as possible. So, money is not really the end goal for us. It's getting healthy hearts. That's the mission.
Cool. And just to add some color to that, so there are financing schemes available as well for 6 and 12 months with smaller down payments. Now, what about the shipping arrangements, Rahul? So most of the people listening to this are in the US, but I do have listeners worldwide. So what's the cost for shipping? How does that work?
So in the US, you can have two options. You can either have it delivered and then assembled, and then one of our technicians will come in, set it up, give you a quick demo, and then sign into the Wi-Fi and just make sure everything's up and running. And that is that service itself is $150 plus the shipping is $250, and that's to anywhere in the US. If you don't have to have, of course, the assembly, then it's just $250 for the shipping, and then the bike comes packaged in a box. It's very, very easy to assemble. All you have to do is put the feet on, put the handlebars in, and the seat in. I mean, it's just so simple. It's a 20-minute job. We offer a complimentary service where you can dial into one of our tech or one of our support team, and then they will actually, via Skype or a video conferencing tool of your choice, they will assist you setting it up. And then, if you have any problems or troubleshooting, they will be online for free, and they'll give you that help. And it's, like I said, it's only a 20-minute job doing this thing. If you're going to do rest of world, so in the EU, we also service from our UK operation. And that is a on a country. So the shipping is on a country by country basis, and the same ditto for the rest of the world. So we ship to Canada. We actually have bikes in all 5 continents. But if you're shipping to someone that we don't actively pursue as a market, then we get a quote from you from the cheapest but the most reliable or best let's say courier that we can find, and then we'll get that to you.
Cool. How many bikes do you have around the world right now? Do you know?
Yeah, we have a couple of hundred. We're in double digit growth every month. So if you were to ask, you ask me next week and it'll be a few hundred. It's absolutely blowing. Seriously, it's blowing up. People are just going nuts for it. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And even when our entry into the US, it was actually an organic pull. We weren't actively pursuing the US market, and then Dr. Martin Gabala ended up. So a lot of your listeners will know who that is. They ended up writing. He ended up writing a book called The 1 Minute Workout. And if anyone hasn't read it, I recommend reading it.
Did he plug you?
He did, but we did not know him at the time. The scientists knew each other, but we didn't endorse it. We didn't have anything to do with it. And he plugged us. Yeah, he plugged us. And then all of a sudden, we're getting orders like crazy from America. And then since then, we've opened up here. I mean, that is like 9 months ago, right? At that time, we were just an office in London. Now, we have operation in London, we have a New York head office, and we have warehouses in California, Texas, and New Jersey, just to service the amount of orders we're getting and the clients that we need to. And we're setting up local operations, faster than I can say local operations.
Wow.
It's just absolutely fantastic. So whatever we're doing, we're doing right.
Are you also getting into working with partners like Orange Theory Fitness, where you would potentially replace their entire spinning operation?
So we have not pursued working with those guys, and likewise, they haven't pursued working with us. I have had some guys, really interestingly, say, I want to build my own CAR.O.L studio with 10 bikes, and I want to do these fat burn rides. So people are going to come in, are going to get the class lined up. Everyone logs in, rides for 15 minutes. They burn 9 times more fat than the 45-minute run. Get off, boom, high five, sweat, quick shower, out in half an hour. Okay, wow, that's really cool. So we have had those ideas flow through, but working specifically with Orange Theories and stuff, I think that's going to be a long, long way down the road if we ever do go down that road. And from a business from our philosophy, I think they would have to align to kind of fit with what we're saying. We're saying it's all about max results in the shortest amount of time, and we don't emphasize on the social. So a lot of guys will go to Orange Theory because it's a really good chance for them to catch up with their buddies. They're going to do all this stuff. They get to da. And don't get me wrong, the community of the space that we're in is rock solid and is growing every day, and we love that and we need it, and everybody in the community needs it. But they're coming to the bike for a different reason. They're coming to the bike because max results, shortest amount of time. They want the best thing that's available to them for their body. Is kind of a different motivating factor than for the other guys who go to Orange Theory. And so it's just, we're not really going to pursue it right now. And I think we love working with the guys we work with right now so much that we want to push this as far as we can, and really, really make sure that everybody in our space is, winning in essence. They're doing the best as we can, really, really getting a lot of people healthy. And so there's a lot to keep us busy for the foreseeable future in that respect.
Cool. And before I forget, we are going to make an offer, aren't we, to those listening? So if you're listening to this and you're interested in potentially purchasing a CAR.O.L bike, you can use the coupon HIB, which stands for High Intensity Business. Rahul, do you want to just elaborate on the benefits they will get for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that discount code, we're going to give you the 6 months license when you sign up for free. So especially with the pay-as-you-go customers, that could be really useful for you. And you've got bigger places, that'll be really awesome for you guys. And it would be a chance for you to test it out. There's a welcome period. And yes, you're going to get all of the updates. You're going to get a full service. And we're actually pushing up updates, once a week, because we're constantly improving the service, constantly incorporating your feedback, just making everything as best as it can be. And then you're also going to get a $250 discount off the price of the bike itself. So that is the first 6 months license for free, and a $250 discount off the bike using the code HIB.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that, Rahul. I really appreciate it. I'm sure listeners do too. So I guess just to wrap this one up a little bit, what are the goals for the organization? What's the roadmap look like for you guys for sort of the next, 12 months to 3 years? Do you plan that far ahead?
Absolutely. Our investors would shoot us if we didn't.
All right.
We want to be going direct to consumer ultimately. So we, at the moment, our direct to consumer makes up about 60% of our revenue stream, or that's about 60% of the bikes we have out in the field. And we would like that to be more towards the 80%. And that, the remaining 40% today, 20% is optimum performance studios or biohacking gyms or studios, whatever you want to call them. And then the other 20% is, I guess, just researchers or universities or other miscellaneous places which take it, but that are not private households. And we would like I said, that to move up to 80% the private household. And then we'd like to have the optimum performance studio still be a big chunk. There would still be many of them. But we really want to have CAR.O.L bikes in as many bedrooms, as Dr. Martin Gabalo would say, in as many offices, as many bedrooms as possible, so that people can get up, they just do a ride, and they've done the cardio for the day. I mean, our vision for a company is there's no reason why, the barista in Pret didn't just do a quick CAR.O.L ride in the staff room before his 8-hour shift, because now he's going to feel great. Now he's going to be on his feet. There's no reason why that can't be the case. And that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And for the first time ever, we've actually seen a product that's advanced enough to consistently deliver lab results in the real world that's actually easy to get behind and people can do. And, like we were talking about earlier, the compliance rates are so high with the CAR.O.L Bike because there are just so few barriers to actually doing this thing. That's the goal. And as we get bigger, this is going to be in more and more places. It really is going to be awesome. So that's the hope. That's the goal. And I think the business is going to follow a Tesla sales strategy. It's going to have, we'll probably have digital showrooms. Maybe we'll have a couple of brick and mortar showrooms in densely populated areas around the country where we'll be bringing people in, hosting events, doing all kinds of really cool stuff and just getting people to buy bikes and take them into their homes.
Cool. Sounds good. So what's the best way for people to find out more about you guys? Where should they go?
Okay, so if they go to carolfitai.com, that's CAROLFITAI.com. That's our website. They can find out all the information about the bike. They can find more about the science, especially, how are we able to achieve the glycogen depletion in the 20 seconds? How are we actually able to achieve the cardio benefits in such a short amount of time? They can see all that. They can actually see also more about the hardware. So, we were discussing very briefly that the bike is actually, it's a very high quality piece of machinery. The brake has 1,000 settings. We were saying it's guided by a laser. The heart rate monitors are the most accurate on the market. Those are also patented. You can find out all of the features of the bike itself. And if you want to then learn more information or you want to talk to someone on the team, by all means, please reach out to myself, and you can do that. You can do that via the email info@carolfitai.com, and I'll get the email and then we can open up a conversation.
Excellent. Well, look, thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed this. Really interesting to learn about what you guys are doing. And I also really appreciate the offer. I know you wanted me to fly over to London and get a good go on one of them and then hang out afterwards. And that would be cool to do some more stuff in person in the future. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to come over when we said. But watch this space.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to make sure we do something fun.
Yeah, for sure. And to everyone listening, to find the blog post for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com/Carol. That's CAROL. And for all episodes, please go to highintensitybusiness.com/podcast. And until next time, thank you very much for listening.
Discover how to become a great personal trainer and build a successful high-intensity training business. Check out highintensitybusiness.com. highintensitybusiness.com.